Well, let's take you back now to that feel-good moment, that historic moment. Today marks 30 years since the South African national rugby team won the Rugby World Cup at Ellis Park in Johannesburg when they beat New Zealand 15-12 in the final. The victory became significant because it was the first sporting success for a newly democratic South Africa. We've now roped in South Africa's beloved musical icon, PJ Powers, Thandeka, as she's fondly known too, as we reflect on this monumental part of our history. A very good afternoon to you. So central, of course, to that feel-good moment that we still feel today, in fact, that Madiba magic, that success, that was The World in Union, a song sung by you, PJ Thandeka Powers. I mean, that still echoes in most of our minds 30 years on. Take us back to that moment. Walk us through the emotions that came over you on this day.
Well, first of all, hi. Yeah, you did rope me in. I'm getting instructions from technical people here and everything. I get very nervous of these Zoom things. What a day. What an incredible day. I can honestly say one of the greatest days of my life. And what was so great about it, apart from the fact, of course, that we won, is listening to Mr. Alexander and the minister speak. It was so incredible to be part of it and to watch our country change before my eyes. Because my memory is that at Newlands, I will never forget, there was still a lot of old South African flags in the audience. And by the time we got to Ellis Park for the final, and by the time Nelson Mandela walked onto that field in a number 6 jersey, and everybody was just chanting Nelson, Nelson, there was not one old South African flag flying that I saw. And for me, that was the most remarkable transition. And it was that day that I had a great sense in 1995 that we were going to be okay. And it's a moment that when people ask me the question, you think after all these years I'd be ready for the answer, but the emotion definitely very often, as you can see now, gets the better of me because I was so proud to be part of that.
It gets the better of us, that can remember it. I mean, I was a teenager too at that time. I want to speak about, just stay on that number 6 jersey. And, how symbolic do you think, that Madiba magic was for our country at that time when Madiba wore the green Springbok jersey? I mean, many saw that like the win itself as a watershed moment, at a time when our country was really, truly coming out of a dark time. I mean, you mentioned the fact that, there were some people at another stadium waving the old flag, but that was a moment when he really, really brought in that Madiba moment, that Madiba magic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was, I think, so many factors played towards that. Obviously the fact that we had this incredible team, and the fact that we were ready for the new dawn, I do believe, as a country. And I think that there were just so many factors that were right. I remember leaving Ellis Park, and I don't have to tell everybody what my history is. I never thought I would ever drive the streets of Johannesburg and hear little black street children and people on the streets of Johannesburg screaming, "Boka, Boka, Boka." It was a remarkable moment. And when I see now where rugby and this journey has taken us, it is just so incredibly rewarding. It's so amazing to see what this sport has, particularly rugby, has done to unite South Africa. That's it. There hasn't been a better moment in history, the loudest political speech that was ever spoken without any words.
I want to talk about World in Union, the song that you sang. It's transcended so much through the years. You've gone on to sing it at iconic funerals of, former Springboks. Speak to me about the words and how important it was for you to make sure that every word really landed and resonated with South Africans then.
Well, I think it's the reason why this version, which I did, and let me not take all the credit, together with Lady Smith Black Mambazo, I think the version was so authentic because it was so what we needed lyrically at that time, a world in union. And yet, I think the globe needs to hear it now, but we so badly needed it. And I think it was because we so badly needed it, it was so authentic. And lyrically, of course, Kirita Kanawa, the opera singer, had sung it 4 years prior to that in New Zealand. And when I got that call asking, what am I doing in a black and white outfit on the screen? And when I got the call inviting me to be part of it, and Madiba inviting me to represent our country, it was just fantastic, but most of all brilliant for us as a nation.
I'm told I've got one last question to ask you before I let you go. I mean, when you look at the world today, you also mentioned it briefly, and how we are still somewhat divided, not only here nationally, but when you look at the volatility that's happening now, how important do you think sports and song is to unite us?
Oh, I think it is. I think the importance of music and sport. I think it should have the biggest budget in terms of diplomatic relations, but that's me. I think the importance of culture and sport can never be underestimated in any nation, because it's basically the culture is the voice of the nation, and sport is joy of the nation. I don't think it can be underestimated in any situation. But as a South African, we're a sport. Look what we've just done, in the UK. Fantastic, with Bavuma, and so proud. I mean, there's another moment that'll go down in our beautiful, beautiful sporting post-apartheid history.
Yeah, and I mean, now we've got Siya Kolisi with his beautiful renditions of Guijos that he sings and brings, many South Africans into his musical spirit too. But thank you so much.
Unbelievable.
Thank you so much, PJ Thandeka Powers, for your time and, of course, just taking us back.
Okay.
Thank you so much. All right, that was South Africa's beloved musical icon, PJ Thandeka Powers, of course, just reflecting on that iconic and monumental time and part of history today, marking 30 years since the South African national rugby team, the Springboks, won that Rugby World Cup at Ellis Park in Johannesburg.